6 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m., it's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 53 degrees outside. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. How you doing, man? Good morning.
I'm so excited. This is an exciting day. I mean, we're close to, the 75th anniversary. Today, Rome was freed 75 years ago, and the Nazis pulled out with destroying the city. We get to talk about Adam Smith, the gold standard. Oh my gosh, I'm
It just
excited.
never
Too
ends.
excited. I can't handle myself.
All right. Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor. You are listening to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. We're happy to have you along with us this morning. Thanks for taking us with you on the beginning of your day. And quick look at our weather. We've got some coming in this weekend. We're looking for a really nice day today. Sunny, high of 76, overnight low of 50. I don't know what... I don't know what more you could ask for.
Did you just cough?
I just coughed, yeah. But I turned my mic off when I coughed. So.
No, but I mean, in 9 years, I don't think I've ever heard you cough.
Well, I don't do it very often, but,
No, but
I don't know. I got a little coffee going there or something, I guess. But anyway,
I'm so happy. I'm actually normal.
Yeah. Well, at least I mute. You don't. All right. Thursday, a high of 81, but isolated thunderstorms around the area. Not a big percentage, 25% chance of thunderstorms, but they will appear here and there around the valley. So you may get a little bit of rain on Thursday. Friday, though, the temperature really goes down 30 degrees, down to 51 for the high, 35 for the overnight low. Rain comes in. And 93% chance of rain at about noon on Friday. And then Saturday, the showers continue. And there may be some overnight snow because our low is going to go down as low as 33 degrees, 35 to 33 degrees. So there may be a little snow accumulation, but that should go away pretty quickly. 53 will be the high on Saturday. Then back to sunny Sunday. 60 degrees on Sunday, no chance of precip all day long, and then same on the rest of the week, and the temperatures start going back up. Monday, 68, Tuesday, 71, Wednesday, 76, Thursday, 78, and then the rain, of course, comes back in for your weekend on Friday, and we'll have afternoon thunderstorms there. So what could be better?
Snow.
Yeah, and snow, probably.
Don't forget the snow. That's
we got to have
it's
snow.
June.
Yeah, it's June. We got to have snow.
Yeah,
Come on. We had a massive snowfall in June several years ago, brought down trees all over town. It was a big wet snow, and wow, it was a mess.
Well, I asked my brother-in-law one year, Kelly Hall down there, and once, why do you have your Christmas lights up still? And he looked at me and said, because we still get snow in June.
Yeah, so there you are.
Yeah.
Why not? I mean, turn the lights on and open some presents.
It's almost Christmas.
That's right. Put a turkey on the Barbie.
Yeah, put the turkey on. Yeah, exactly.
Temperatures.
No, you don't ask him to do that. He would do that.
Well, I know he would, yeah. So temperatures in Livingston right now, 52 degrees over there. Manhattan's 49 and clear. Three Forks is 51. Gallatin Gateway is 52 degrees. Ennis is 51. Big Sky 45. And at the airport in Belgrade, it is 49 degrees right now. We are right at 52 degrees at 10 minutes after 6 at our downtown studios here. So a pretty nice forecast for the week, but once we get past this rain over the weekend, so looks like it'll be a good week ahead.
Well, of course, it's always a good week.
Well, yeah.
I mean, every week's good.
Yeah.
Some are just better than others.
Well, that's true. I can't fault you there.
Yeah, I mean, being alive is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, good old Adam Smith, the economist, the inventor of capitalism. Yeah, born on this date in 1723 in Kirkcaldy, Scotland. And Adam Smith, known pretty much as the father of capitalism.
That's right. I mean, I love this guy. I mean, if you haven't read these 2 or 3 books that he wrote, you got to run to wherever you get a book now, Amazon, the internet, whatever. So he was a philosopher, author, moral philosopher, big time. and a political economist of his day. And as Tom says, born in Scotland during the Scottish Enlightenment, and is known as the father of economics, or as also the father of capitalism. He wrote two classic works, The Theory of Moral Sentiments. Well, that sounds interesting, Moral Sentiments, 1759.
Can't wait to read that.
It's a great book. No, it really is. It's just a fascinating. It's not a boring read.
Well,
and Inquiry into the Nature and Causes of the Wealth of Nations, 1776, which was later abbreviated to the Wealth of Nations, and is considered his magnum opus, like a musician's concerto.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, he introduced the theory of absolute advantage, division of labor, and free market, supply and demand.
Yeah.
And that changed everything. And the key to this was the years he wrote these books. Now, the theory, I want you to write these down. The Theory of Moral Sentiments, 1759. Remember, 1776,
mm-hmm.
he wrote Wealth of Nations. And so, this whole concept during the Enlightenment in Scotland was occurring at the same time that, you were beginning your fight for independence and created the opportunity for capitalism, which you developed from this guy.
Mm-hmm.
And he's such a cool guy, traveled all over Europe, because he was teaching very wealthy families' children, and made huge changes. I mean, just
mm-hmm.
one of the great minds of the 18th century. You got to read about this guy.
Well, I think a lot of our Constitution, based, at least from a monetary standpoint, was based on Adam Smith.
100%. And,
yeah.
And all the
because we didn't adopt the systems from the monetary systems nor the parliamentary systems from England.
No, and of course the reason for that was because of the royalty. And they had the House of Lords, which was an inherited position, and so the Americans made that total split. They created the Senate, like in Rome, and then they followed the Parliament,
mm-hmm.
the House of Parliament, by creating the House of Representatives, and then they went all in with Adam Smith and capitalism, baby. Supply and demand, free market system,
mm-hmm.
and look, we did in 200 years. Wow, it's fabulous.
Pretty amazing, yeah. When you consider the 50,000 years before.
Yeah, exactly. What the hell were they doing?
Well, pulling buggies with horses. That's what they were doing.
and the fascinating thing about this, this social economic and not a political theory, but a social economic theory. It was right, as I said, in the Enlightenment of Scotland, and 100 years before, Marx and communism, socialism with Mao.
Mm-hmm.
So, Mao created socialism. Let's not forget that. Yep. Marx was communism.
There you are. Well, on this date, 1990, or 1933, I should say, 1933, right before the Great Depression, right after it started, I guess, in 29, the crash of 29. 1933, the United States went off of the gold standard. You could not own gold.
That's right, and it was one of these situations that FDR was faced with, because the biggest problem with the United States at that time is they were no longer, they were no longer on the gold species standard.
Mm-hmm.
They were still on the gold bullion standard. So
right.
They were exchanging gold for dollars.
Right.
And this created a problem because so many different types of currencies. You and I have talked about this.
Oh, yeah. Before the Federal Reserve, there was like 30,000 different currencies.
Right, exactly.
If cities had their own, businesses had their own, it was a nightmare.
Yeah, and they still fought all the way to the World War II and Brent Woods. But anyway, next time we have someone call, and they ask about the gold standard,
mm-hmm.
we get asked. We'll ask them, which standard do you mean?
Which one do you mean? Yeah, because Nixon went off the bullion standard in the 70s,
right.
But
correct.
this was a little earlier. So yeah, we had
the gold species standard
mm-hmm.
was monetary units associated with gold coins.
Right.
Gold bullion standard is where coins were in circulation, but authorities agreed to exchange gold for circulated currency.
Right, coins, yeah.
And then the gold exchange, which is what we are, today, the fixed exchange. We went off with, as you said, with Nixon, is the gold exchange, and that's where governments swap gold in between for specific needs and guarantees.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, I like it.
Good stuff. This is a good day. Because I love those two things. No, this guy Adam Smith. I mean, he's one of my biggest guys. Probably number 3 in my life about books. Okay, yeah.
All right. Let's see. 1947, Secretary of State George C. Marshall, speaking at Harvard University, outlined an aid program for Europe that became known as the Marshall Plan. And, of course, we all know about that, rebuilding Europe after World War II, and quite a beginning of the industrial age. Well, a little before that, but certainly contributed to it with all the steel and everything that was needed and all the rebuilding materials and everything for the Marshall Plan.
And the remarkable thing about this is twofold. Number one, Marshall was picked as overall commander. He was the Joint Chiefs of Staff in Washington, so he oversaw the entire World War II. And number two, he built the Pentagon. It was started in 1942 and finished in 1945.
Wow.
So he that was a massive undertaking, and he had to run the war and build it, set it all up, which is why he got the job to do this. Now, his plan was $12 billion, which today would be $100 billion. You can't even build a wall with $100 billion today.
I know, yeah. You gotta have more than that. Let's take a phone call, then we got to take a break and take care of our farmers. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Hey, I got a couple things. First one, is there a time of the day that you don't want people to call?
No.
Does it bother you when people call at 6 o'clock?
Not at all.
Oh, gosh. Oh, it wakes us up. We got to pay attention.
Our only rule is no double dipping. That's it. Yeah.
I double dip. But I'm special. Okay, my second point, they arrested that cop that didn't
at Parkland. Yeah, we're going to talk about that in the 7 o'clock hour a little bit. Yeah, that's fine, but no, it's all right to bring. It's all right to bring it up. Not everybody listens to all 3 hours. I don't.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think that's kind of crazy. The whole sheriff department of that county dropped the ball on that, and the other county, the neighboring county sheriff department went in there, and they did their duty, is what they said. That's a crazy situation.
Well, and the FBI dropped the ball. He should never have gotten a gun based on what is it the shooter's history was.
Yeah. So
at every level, the state, the federal, the county, the city, everybody dropped the ball.
But you gotta have a scapegoat though, guys. You gotta have somebody to point the finger at. Come on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If you don't find someone to point the finger at, everybody keeps playing the victim.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the parents keep saying, well, the victims, I'll tell you what, man, that school bullying, I think it's cause of a lot of these school shootings.
It is. No question, yeah.
Right, and nobody wants to address that fact because then you're putting the blame where it rightfully belongs,
Well, and you're also violating somebody's free speech. If I want to call you a fatty, then, don't I have that right? I mean, come on.
Right. But
and you're calling out bad parenting.
Well, that's right. Exactly. There may be repercussions for my remarks.
Well, and that's the thing. We have the right to own and bear arms in this country. You don't have the right to use those arms against people unjustly, but we have the right to own and bear them. So, you have the right to run your mouth. It doesn't mean that there isn't consequences to it. That's the crazy thing. Everybody thinks that just because it's the right, there's no consequence. That's not the truth.
Well, that's like that's like social media. You can sit in your basement in the dark and insult people, and there's no repercussion for that.
Right. Well, and then the whole theater, you can't yell fire in a crowded theater. Well, what if there is a fire?
Well,
what if it's in the script? The only consequence, the only time that you get punished for that is if somebody gets hurt or if everybody panics.
No. That was yesterday. No, that was yesterday. now Facebook can destroy you.
No, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Right,
The forklift driver guy
Yeah.
made fun of Pelosi. Yeah.
Yeah, if nobody listens to you when you yell fire in a crowded theater, that's not illegal.
Yeah.
But if it hurts somebody, that's why there's consequences.
That's true.
When you go and push a kid to the point that he wants to shoot all of you people, then there's consequences. But the cops, man, they're opening themselves up by charging that guy because everybody in that county, and like you said, the federal and everybody's getting accountable under those circumstances.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to charge one, how about it shouldn't stop there. Shouldn't stop there. Yeah.
Right. You guys be good, man.
All right, got to go. Thanks for the call. All right. Appreciate it. All right, we'll be right back. We got to take care of the farmers, ranchers, cab drivers, truck drivers, and everybody else. And whoa, it's going to be a good day today. So we'll be right back. 27 minutes after the hour of 6 a.m. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 52 degrees outside. Looking for a high in the 70s today, Shane. So it should be a pretty nice day. And we're going through this day in history. In 1967, the 67 war, I believe we're talking about there, Shane.
Yes, indeed.
War erupted in the Middle East as Israel raided Egyptian military targets. Syria, Jordan, and Iraq entered the conflict.
And two incredible people, once again, that we get to talk about today briefly. Because the prime minister of Israel at the time, Golda Meir, and her general, the one-eyed Moshe Dayan, and they knew that that Egypt was looking at coming after him, so they did a sneak attack. Yeah, and the Israeli Air Force flew in and destroyed the Egyptian Air Force on the ground, and and all heck broke out, and it was a very short 6-day war of attrition, right? Which Israelis managed to hold them back because they managed to call up all their reserves, 275,000 against 200,000 Egyptians, and big one here, 10,000 to 15,000 Soviets.
Yeah, ouch. I know. Yeah,
a lot of people were, the Armageddon thing. A lot of people got scared about that. Okay,
ain't that the truth? Hey, all right, we got to wrap it up for this segment. Montana News up next. Fox News, Brooke Foster weather, and Babel, but no Noxatril. So
darn.
There you go. You're not going to be able to use your viral comment. All right. Hey, we'll be right back with more stuff right after this. 23 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 53 degrees outside. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Shane Matobin on the line in Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eagleoff in studio. Your morning mayor, and we're doing the this day in history, 1981. Shane, boy, if you're older than 38, you lived without AIDS.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct.
Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reported on this date in 1981 that 5 homosexuals in Los Angeles had come down with a rare kind of pneumonia. And they were the first recognized cases of what became known as AIDS. Exactly.
And Reagan White House didn't recognize it until 84. And it was a disastrous situation. Yeah. It's 39 million people have died since then, and worldwide, and there's 37 million people infected with it. So science got together in the U.S. and by mistake, actually, at Yale University Medical School, a researcher found some type of medication or combination that allowed to develop, medication for making it a managed disease, so you can, with the right medication, which is very expensive, like $15,000 a month.
Wow!
You can maintain a lifestyle like the diabetes and. So it's one of those things, it's a viral disease, and the other two are bacterial and fungal diseases. Those are 3 diseases. So this was the biggie, and scary. Yeah, very scary.
Yeah, it was because growing up, we feared a lot of diseases. Growing up, of course, our big fear was polio.
Yes.
We were all fearful of polio at the, going through grade school, high school, and whatever, and things like that. And that was our big our big worry, I guess, at the time. So, but when the polio vaccine came out, we all relaxed a little bit.
Well, and then they created the CDC, in the 50s, and the Center for Disease Control in the 50s started the inoculation program in the United States, and you and I got those little shots for polio and other bad diseaes, right?
Yeah, I think we took I think for polio, I think we took a sugar cube or something like that. It wasn't even an injection for it. It was something in a sugar cube or something, and we just popped it in the mouth and away.
Yeah, I took a sugar cube, and then a year later they did the little dot thing, on your arm.
Yeah. Well, on this date in 2002, you might remember Elizabeth Smart was 14. She was kidnapped from her bedroom in her family's Salt Lake City home, and she was rescued in the following year, March of 2003. But that was world news. Very attractive young woman, and two loser bums grabbed her, and it was a sad story for her, man. It was a sad thing.
But she's recovered from it. She was 14. She's now 31. And, she deals with this by talking about it and going around and educating young women about the danger of being attacked and what you can do to try and save yourself. Because at that point, you've got to.
Well, you just, you think about getting kidnapped off the street or, being getting a date rape drug or something at a bar, but you don't think about somebody coming in your bedroom window and dragging you out of the house. So, well, in 2004, Ronald Reagan, the 40th president of the United States, died in Los Angeles at age 93 after a long struggle with Alzheimer's disease. A lot of people think he had it when he was serving as president, but
I think
I don't know.
Because the last year of his presidency, they shaved his head and they gave him a surgery. They took a specimen from his brain, and I think he had the beginnings of it. It's
probably
terrible.
Yeah, no, it is. My mother had it. Her sister had it. It was it's tough. It's a tough disease to deal with, boy, when people don't know who you are. And I remember calling my mother to wish her a happy birthday. She had no idea who I was. So that's right. Of course, that happens a lot. I call people all the time and wish them happy birthday, and they have no idea who I am.
And his second election, 1984, 525 electoral votes, 97.6 of 538. The only state not to vote for him was Massachusetts.
Yeah. Well, in 2007, Vice President Dick Cheney's former chief of staff, Louis Scooter Libby. We remember Louis Scooter, don't we? Sentenced to 2.5 years in prison for lying and obstructing the CIA leak investigation. President George W. Bush later commuted that prison sentence.
There you are.
All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back. 14 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 54 degrees outside. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Shane and Tom on the line in Vancouver, British Columbia, and Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor, in the house. And well, we got some interesting birthdays today. We've got John Maynard Keynes.
Yeah, the Keynesian theory of economics of the 20th century, which was brilliant, that a government can go into debt to spur the economy, but once the economy accelerated, the extra taxes that were collected should be used to pay down the debt. They forgot the second half of his theory.
Yeah, we don't do that. We don't pay down the debt. I mean, we just keep putting stuff out there. So, also born on this date, Pat Garrett shot Billy the Kid, American sheriff, born on this date in 1850, lived to the ripe old age of 58.
That's right, Judge John Bean in
Roy Bean.
Or Judge Roy Bean was the only one trying to keep the West quiet, but they appointed marshals because it was the Wild West.
There you are. Pancho Villa, Mexican revolutionary guerrilla leader, born on this date in 1878, lived to the ripe old age of 45.
And General Pershing was sent to the border, after the Mexican-American War to chase him around Mexico because
get out
of his problem with the U.S.
Yeah. Also born on this date, a name you may not recognize, William Boyd was born on this date in 1895, probably better known as Hopalong Cassidy.
That's right. What a remarkable talent that guy was. Yeah. I mean, he made a difference, in Hollywood just because of who he was.
Yep. Started the Westerns back in the day. He and Tom Mix and Lash LaRue and Roy Rogers, Gene Autry, all those guys.
And when talkies came along, they're the ones that made the Saturday morning shorts.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah, they were great.
And the one-reelers at the movie theaters on Saturdays. Exactly. Yeah, my mother would drop me off, and I would spend the whole afternoon watching Zorro and Lash LaRue and all these guys
for 75 cents.
Well, it was less than that. It was, I think, when I went, it was around a quarter.
Yeah, well, I went in the early 60s.
See, I was there in the 40s and 50s, so there you go.
Oh, I thought you were there back in the silent era.
Well, I just barely, the first talking picture I ever saw scared the hell out of me. People are talking from the screen. What's going on? They can see me?
Yeah, exactly. Are they talking to me?
They talking to me? What's up? Why do I care what they have to say? I don't know. But anyway, that was some good times. So, all right, we come back. We got to start on Bozeman News. So we're going to take another quick break, and we'll start on the Bozeman News, Livingston News, and of course, when we get up to 7 o'clock, we got to do the 5 things you need to know.
It's a good one today.
All right. We'll be right back with more after this. 7 minutes for the top of the hour. It is, I think it's Wednesday. It's hump day, Shane. Wow. Holy smokes.
It's a double hump day because we're having so much fun.
It's a double hump day. Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, day before D-Day. We're having our D-Day week here. 54 degrees outside. And welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And in local news, we found another pilot's been identified 75 years later after D-Day, after crashing his P-47 Thunderbolt aircraft in France. And they identified him as Bill McGowan, and he was flying June 6, 1944, when he flew his fighter bomber over the English Channel on D-Day, invasion of France. And he was identified by the Defense POW-MIA accounting agency using DNA evidence, and he has relatives in the Shields Valley and the Crazy Mountain Guest Ranch over there, and that's good news that we've had a couple folks that were lost, one in the Pacific locally here, and this other hero in France over there. So excellent.
And the Thunderbolt was an amazing aircraft. Just want to mention this to the listeners because the modern equivalent is the Hog, and it was just a tremendous bomber, fighter, and ground protector. And and the rockets the Americans developed were really quite remarkable too. For aircraft at the end of World War II.
Yeah. Well, this carried two 500-pound bombs and 4 50 caliber machine guns on each wing, and if you're, we had 2 machine guns. We had the 60 and the 50. And if you're not familiar with the 50. That baby will take your leg clean off.
That's right.
It's a big shell. It's
7-inch shell. Right?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty good size. So if you're firing that bad boy at somebody, not much of them is going to be left if you hit them a couple of times. So
yeah, they had them mounted in an aircraft for you in Vietnam called Puff the Magic Dragon on the sides, and Gatling guns.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, that thing. They claimed you could fly over a football field and it would put a bullet in every square foot.
That's right.
Of a football field. So I don't know if that's right or not, but that was I saw one actually once when I was there, but never heard it fire or never watched it fire. But it was a bad weapon.
It was nasty, as they say, nasty.
Now we got drones that just drop stuff on people, so it's no big deal anymore. So, Well, let's see. Also in local news, well, guess what? If you're a fisherman, here we go. On the state officials are considering an afternoon to night fishing closure during July and August on the lower Madison River. And the idea is to protect fish from angling stress when water temperatures are highest. Let's protect those fish from stress.
Yeah, them and their 10-second memories.
Man, I don't know what some of these people are thinking. But I guess we need to, I guess, is it PETA? Did PETA come over and say, hey, it's kind of warm here. Those fish are kind of stressed out with this warm weather.
Well, 80% of the world get their protein from the ocean. Fish.
Yeah, right, All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Montana Fish and Wildlife biologists are proposing permanent hoot owl restrictions from July 1st to August 31st on the Madison River, from Ennis Dam to the mouth of the river near Three Forks. Under the change, angling would be banned from 2 p.m. to midnight each day during those 2 months. How hot does it get at midnight in Montana anyway, particularly on the Madison? What,
well,
40, 50?
and everyone knows everything grows at night. Everything.
Yeah, I guess it does, yeah. Well, anyway. The proposal is part of a broader effort to gather public input on how fishing regulations should change. FWP is planning to update the regulations in 2020, and it laid out several regulatory proposals as part of a survey meant to gauge public opinion. So the permanent hoot owl is the most significant tweak for southwestern Montana.
Wow.
No river has a permanent time of day closure, but the restrictions are ordered on several rivers each summer. So
amazing, isn't it?
And they call it hoot owl closure. So there you are.
Yeah, we have restricted fishing now because our fisheries failed. So what can you do?
Oh yeah. Let's take a call. 522 talk. Caller, you are on. What's up?
Morning, gentlemen. It's Steve.
Hey, Steve.
So how bass-ackwards is our society?
I don't know.
We're more
just when I think I've heard it all, Steve.
We're more worried about the stress of the fish than we are about us breathing huge amounts of smoke. I mean, I can only shake my head.
I know.
Oh, I just had to call real quick and share that. We are bass-backwards. Have a good one.
All right. Thanks for the call. Perfect timing because we got to go. All right. Well, we still got more Montana and some Livingston stuff to do before we get to the 5 things. So we'll do those when we come back. And, hey, smoke jumpers are heading for Canada. We're getting some Montana smoke guys are heading for Canada to help you out with those fires, Shane. So as Steve was alluding to, we've got a lot of smoke in the area.
It's a problem, and it's just the beginning of June.
I know, yeah. We're not even into July, August, and September yet when our real fire season begins to pop up. So, all right, we top of the hour, of course. We've got Montana State News, got Fox News, we've got Brooke Foster weather, and we'll be back with more Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane right after the news. So stay tuned. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. 6 minutes after the hour of 7 p.m. Off to a good start, right, Shane?
Yeah, you're heading towards that basketball game.
I know. We got a big game tonight. Tied up. Our international NBA is tied up. 6 minutes after the hour of 7 o'clock. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 54 degrees outside. We have a caller waiting, Shane. So let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey.
Good morning.
So we've got touchy-feely Joe Biden
with
his little campaign, and his own campaign strategists have said that his plan to deal with global warming. Climate change hoax. So his plan to deal with this would cost $1.7 trillion. I mean,
a year.
A year. You've got to be kidding me. Okay, so they're talking about dealing with this hoax of climate change or global warming. Which is it? Global warming, climate change? I guess it depends on what the weather is doing.
Yeah.
If it's a little bit cool, they call it climate change. If it's a little bit too hot feeling, they're going to call it global warming. But anyway, so you add that, plus, they're talking about the free education, all these free things for illegal aliens coming into our country. I mean, where does it stop? Where does it end? Can you imagine the bill that they're going to hand the taxpayers if these Democrats get in the office? Add in the Green New Deal. I mean, everything that they're talking about would just completely tax the middle class into oblivion. What are people thinking if they vote for these Democrats? Do they want to be a poor taxpayer that has no money left for anything else? I don't get it. Why? What do you guys think?
Well, here's the talking point for the Republicans. Your electrical grid in your country is running at 110% right now. I mean, it's overburdened. And there's no plans to expand it. There's no plans to increase it. So, one of the problems with the Green Deal is this entire dependency on electricity, and there isn't any. So they can't even get there.
Yeah. Well, the other thing, too, iron and steel, you're not going to melt iron and steel without coal, the heat of coal. So, I mean, they want to eliminate all this stuff by 2050. Alternative fuels are going to come, but they're going to come in their own good time. As I've said 100 times, we couldn't have sped up the evolution of the automobile if we just killed all the horses.
Exactly.
I mean, that's just not going to work. Things evolve in their own time. Now, if you want to force people to renovate all their buildings and all this stuff, well, you're going to be behind because the evolution is going to catch up. You're going to do all this spending, and now all of a sudden, everything that you spent your $1.7 trillion a year on is obsolete.
And everything you walk through, 90% of what you walk through a day is made from petrochemicals, oil.
Yeah.
How do you replace that in everyday life?
I don't think there's anything in this studio that I can touch other than me that's
right.
It doesn't have oil in it somewhere.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah.
You talk about, I hope that the majority of Americans can now see that this thing with this Russian collusion and Trump, I hope that the majority of Americans can see that was a hoax. They're just trying to make it difficult for him, just make him ineffective because he's having to deal with this. I hope that they see it as a hoax. But the biggest hoax, even bigger than that, is this global warming thing. I was in my vehicle a month or so ago, and I just had the window open. I heard some kids talking, and I can't remember what it was, but the one kid made a comment to the other, something about, I don't know if he used the term global warming or climate change, but it was that kind of thing. And he was like, the oceans and everything's going to heat up and burn up, and I don't remember the exact comment that the child said. I mean, he must have been 10 or 12. So I'm like, oh, great, they're indoctrinating. They have all the little kids believing this, too, now. It's going to be so difficult. And then you got the Republicans not backing President Trump when he wants to put a tariff on Mexico. Why not?
Republicans have always been beholden to big business. We know that. They've always had the Chamber of Commerce. They've always had, big business and whatever. But
right. But if Mexico is printing these pamphlets for the illegal aliens across the border, making it easier for them, giving them information. Oh, this is how you can get it through customs easier. This is how you can get welfare. This is how you can get free food, free housing, free medicine. Read our little pamphlet. Take it with you, and here's all your information to get along and get through in the good old USA. They'll just treat you royally if you follow these things, follow these little guidelines that we're giving you. And so if the Republicans don't want to back Trump on the tariffs on Mexico, what's their plan to deal with Mexico, to say, hey, knock it off? What's their plan to slap Mexico in the face and say, we don't appreciate this kind of interference in our country? I don't think they have a plan.
Everything your president does it has a strategy behind it, and I'm going to announce what I think it is in the next block when we talk about 5 things you need to know. So keep listening, everyone.
Okay, there you are. There's the tease. Hey, thanks for the call. Some excellent points.
All right.
All right. Well, yeah, the from our text line, 4788298, we were talking about the FWP and the Madison River and shutting it down for the fish and whatever. What the heck is wrong with FWP? We're going to try to save a few trout from the hot water. They've been murdering cow elk with shoulder seasons for the last several years, and it's hard to find an elk. And then they blame it on the wolves, and now we're blaming trout shortage on the sun. They need to start managing with biology instead of politics. Odd move for these idiots who like to manage wildlife and fish with politics. I would imagine the tourist industry at Ennis will have this shut down before too long, just like how the ranchers keep the shoulder seasons going in lieu of a healthy elk herd. They will listen to the money like they always do. So there you go. Excellent point.
And I like to remind everyone, you remember the huge fire in Yellowstone Park 30 years ago. And scientists, after that, it was over because it took winter to put it out. And remember the big argument, what do we do? What do we do? And then scientists said, well, let's leave it alone and see what happens. Yeah. Well, the smartest thing they ever did.
Because it came back better than ever. So, yep. Nature will find a way, as we always say. Let's see a couple other things we got to cover real quick before we get to the 5 things. An attempt by 2 states are trying to force the Trump administration to resume collecting information about donors to certain nonprofit groups faces a key test Wednesday when a federal judge in Montana hears arguments about whether the states can challenge the IRS policy. So Steve Bullock and New Jersey Attorney General sued the Internal Revenue Service after it ended a 40-year requirement last year that social welfare groups, labor unions, and business associates turn over the names and addresses of their donors who contribute more than $5,000. Now, the state officials argue the change makes it easier for deep-pocketed donors to hide their political spending by funneling money anonymously to tax-exempt groups that aim to influence elections under the guise of educational and issue ads. I have mixed feelings on this one, Shane, because if, as the caller just pointed out, she is no fan of global warming. So if I want to donate to a candidate who opposes global warming through their Political Action Committee, which is a nonprofit, and I can drop my money in there, or some other group that's anti-climate change, I would, that could affect my business. I would rather not my name be known that I am not a fan of global warming, or if I am a fan of global warming, I would rather that information not be public, that people can just look up online and say, oh, well, I'm boycotting your business and I'm going to tell everybody in town to boycott it too because, I disagree with your stance on whatever the topic is. So I think there needs to be a place. Now, I can understand that the money, money influences elections. There's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. But, I still feel that if people want to support anonymously, they should be able to.
Yes, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And, the interesting thing about this that we should just mention real quick, 29 judges make up the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, meaning there are 29 federal judges in the Ninth Circuit, including Montana. Mm-hmm. But there's not a single Montana judge on the Court of Appeals. No. And one of the things I think your president's trying to do is make sure that there's equal representation. There's 4 vacancies right now in the Ninth Court of the 9 judges, and he has made appointments that have to be approved by the Senate. But it's an interesting dichotomy that it covers such a large area, and you would think that every state should be able to have a federal judge from that state.
You would think so. And not for a vested interest or not to legislate from the bench based on Montana necessarily, but to bring to light that if this law is passed, the people in Montana would be affected in this way.
That's right.
So the decision can be made what effect is this law going to have on the states that any appeals court district covers?
That's right, and for equal representation, because right now, five of the judges on the 9-court appeal, they're from California, Oregon, and Washington. I mean,
so
there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you're tainted just by being born there.
We can't go there, buddy. We can't go there. That's tainting. You can't taint.
That's right. All right, we got to take a quick break. We'll be right back with more right after this. Stay tuned. 21 minutes after the hour. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019. Shane's been interrogating a caller on the line. Let's go to the phones. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the air. What's going on?
Well, hey, Tom, it's Kevin.
Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
Good, good. Well, you were talking about the, what were you guys talking about? Hold on.
Well, Fish, Wildlife, and Park donors to the IRS.
and making, shaming people or not being able to contribute to somebody who has doesn't believe in man-causing global warming.
Yeah.
But that's exactly what the fascist left wants. They want to out people who don't agree with them.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You should be able to, you should be able to voice your opinion anonymously.
No, not according to the left.
Well, that's what you do in the ballot box. You walk in there and you vote anonymously.
Right. Well, they want to get rid of that too.
Well, yeah, that's true too. Yeah.
They're so tolerant of
in ballot box cameras. That's what we want.
Well, I mean, and Shane and I were talking about China, and we're not far from there with this whole credit system where if you don't toe the party line, so if you don't and transfer that to here, so if you don't vote the right way, or if you don't believe in man-made global warming, or you don't want the Green New Deal, you're going to be your status in society will be reduced. You won't be able to, maybe credit card might not work when you go out to a nice restaurant,
that's
or
right,
you might not be able to get a plane ticket, and you're going to have to hitchhike. I mean, seriously, that's what they're doing in China, and it's a test pilot, I'm sure, for the fascist left who are so tolerant for here.
Yeah.
It's scary.
It is scary. Thanks for the call, Kevin. Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for listening. All right. Let's take another call. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
By extension, then the Saudis and the Russians and the Chinese can donate money to campaigns anonymously. Why do we have to sneak around with masks on?
Well, because, as I mentioned earlier, you may not want people to know that you support a certain cause or something like that because it may retaliate against you. Okay?
Well, yeah, what if they're the biggest contributors to various political runs? Don't we want to know who they're contributing to?
Well, do I?
They gave $1.5 billion to Biden, and he's leading in the polls to be elected president.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah,
that's one of the things that we say, that if somebody's chosen by the elite, they're going to get the money to that person, and that person's going to get the media. That person's going to get the pats on the back. That's the person that's going to get the endorsements. So you're
sure.
being
that's kind of the way our system works. In fact, if you look at the Democrats running right now, what do they have to do to qualify to get in the debates? They got to raise money, right? They got to raise money. They've got to get a bunch of money from 20 states. They've got to get a certain amount of money.
65,000 donations from less than $20, and be at least 2% in the polls.
Right. So, yeah, that's the way it works. Otherwise we'd have 10,000 people running for president.
Well, yeah, there were 53 4 years ago. So
yeah, well, we've been as high as 1,000, I think, when Trump ran.
It's.
I mean, Roseanne Barr declared she was going to run for president.
You could run as an anti-vivisectionist and the communist still run and 2 or 3 types of socialists still run.
Sure.
So there's quite a few people that run for president.
Oh, yeah. No, you got a Green Party, you got the Constitution Party, you got all kinds of,
a couple of Green Party people run. They're not at the uniform.
Mm-hmm. I'm not saying the donor names shouldn't be released or should be hidden. I'm just saying that that if I support a specific cause that's unpopular, then that public knowledge could come back to people. Might egg my house. They might attack me on social media. They might attack me on the air, whatever. So
or throw a milkshake on you.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Well, man up, man.
Well, that's the thing. I may go ahead and do it anyway. So there you are.
Yeah.
All right, hey, thanks for the call. I got a couple callers waiting, so I got to go. All right, hey, thanks a lot. All right. Caller, thanks for waiting. You're on the air. What's your name? What's going on?
Hey, this is Joelle.
Hey, Joelle, how are you?
I am fine.
Yeah, what's up?
Are you still there? I got a busy signal in my
I'm
ear.
sorry. Yeah, I answered another call and they left. Okay.
All right. Hey, I'm a child of the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, I was in elementary school in the 70s.
Yeah.
And we're talking about global warming and things like that.
Right.
When I was a kid in elementary school, they showed us movies that terrified us. It showed us living underground in white suits, where even on your birthday, you had to cover the cameras watching you, because if you lit a candle on a cupcake, we were going to die. Oxygen gone. I can remember a specific film where it was all polluted on the face of the earth, and upside down, with the pollution in the back, as gray as gray can be, with a tricycle with its wheels spinning. This was in the Fairfax County public school system. Mm-hmm. And we were scared to death.
Oh, yeah.
We had these young kids scared to death. We were going to die. By now, we were supposed to be dead or living underground.
Yep. Well, that's what they said 30 years ago. There's going to be an ice age, and then there's going to be people are going to burst into flame at the equator, and,
The only
glaciers are going to
us,
start coming across our northern border. And
Yep. The only thing that might have saved us was Arbor Day. We were all supposed to go out and plant
a tree.
Pine trees.
Plant a tree.
Yes. You know what I'm talking about. So anyway, I just thought I'd share.
All right. Hey, thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. All right, let's take another call. 522-TALK is the number. Call you on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
This is Colonel Clink.
Hey, Clink, how are you?
I'm going to talk about this dark money here,
Dark money. All right. Well, you got about a minute. You got about a minute, so go for it.
Okay, the minute is this. If everybody will read Jack Abramoff's book, they will understand all about dark money. Mm-hmm. They will understand about lobbyists. He was the biggest lobbyist in Washington, D.C. Went to jail for 3 or 4 years because of his lobbying and his dark money issues, okay? Mm-hmm. Money is ruling this country.
Yep.
It is, without a doubt, ruling it.
In what way?
In every way. It does the elections. Dark money put into... Now, you watch what dark money's going to do with Bullock. You just watch what's going to happen there. Yeah. That's going to be interesting as hell.
I was going to say, how much outside money came in for Tester, so...
Yeah.
There you are. I got to go, Clay. I'm sorry I'm up against the bottom of the hour. Well,
anyway, just read Abramoff's book and you'll understand the whole damn thing.
All right, man. Thanks for the call.
Bye.
Appreciate it. All right, we got to go. We'll be back. Montana State News, Fox News, Brooke Foster weather, and other things. We'll be right back right after this. 24 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, one day before D-Day. 61 degrees outside. Oh, man, the callers are coming in chain. So
all right.
Let's take a call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you're on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
You're a hotbed of calls this morning.
We are. We got a lot of calls this morning.
We be popular.
All the usual suspects have called in.
That's right.
Well, you were talking about Fish Wildlife Park, and they refused to stock the Madison and the Yellowstone, and
in the Gallatin and various other rivers that have tremendous fishing pressure now.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got a boat. Everybody's a guide. If you can cast a line, you're a guide now.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's
All
true.
These guys, it's very true.
Yeah.
If you have a boat,
if you were born here and you ever fished, you're a guide, I think.
If you can cast a line and you got a good line of BS, you're a guide.
That's right.
That's the way it works.
If you can fog a mirror, you can be on the radio.
And they refuse to stock the rivers because the days of wild and free trout are over. They're over, folks. There's too much pressure on those fish. They need to stock the rivers.
Well, they're not indigenous to Montana, so.
And the other thing is that the president of Mexico has declared war on America. Last time that didn't work out in 1848, that didn't work out so good for them. We got Nevada, New Mexico, Arizona, Texas, and California.
Yeah.
And part of Colorado, most of Colorado, and part of Wyoming. And this time, let's take the Baja.
Okay, I like that. Yeah, that's
good coast.
That's a good resort area there. We could build a bunch
of and Donald
Trump could build some hotels there. The Trump Baja
hotels on the coast there. It'd be great. It'd be great. Let's make the Baja great again.
There you go. All right, thanks, Benny. Take it easy. All right, let's see from our text line. Look up and research for yourself government patents on weather control and look up at the skies and the spider webs they hold. The government is not your friend. All right, well, let's see. Off the air yesterday afternoon, what happened? I have no idea that we were off the air yesterday afternoon, so I apologize for that. Hopefully it, obviously, I guess it was cured eventually, but it does happen from time to time. I don't know. It's probably sunspots, Shane?
Yeah, could be. Could be.
That does that. So, yeah, we don't like to be off the air anytime, obviously, but it does happen sometimes because except for the morning show here, the computer runs the rest of it. They run Rush and Mark and Sean, Sean rather.
Yeah.
Almost said Shane, but they run Shane too sometimes, I guess.
They do.
Yeah.
We're on as long as they are.
That's right. Well, let's take another call. 522-TALK is the number, 522-8255. Caller, you are on the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. What's up?
Well, Tom and Shane.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Lovely sunny day with a couple clouds.
Yeah.
Maybe this money thing can be, we need to change a little change in government. I think that they've stretched the Constitution to its limits, but they made a little list just to be starter.
Okay.
No unions for government employees.
I like that.
The top
FDR agrees with that.
Mm-hmm.
The top 3 bureaucrats in every government agency serve 3 years and they're gone. Okay. That take care of the Obama stacking these agencies.
All right.
No lawyers in elected office. If you make your living off the law, you shouldn't be writing it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, it's a conflict of interest, isn't it? They talk about church and state.
Yeah.
What about state? And what about state and your justice system? I mean, a lawyer shouldn't be in the legislature because he's a member of the bar. So
I agree.
Conflict.
But we'll continue on with the list here. It's short. A politician can only raise money from his or her district, period. K Street goes away. Okay?
Good one. That's a good idea, yeah.
Limit federal judges to a predetermined length of service. Okay? So it's never mind this life stuff anymore. End all government agencies which are not constitutionally authorized. Restrict the federal government to their limited ownership or control of property within the states. They only get what's authorized, and the Constitution lays that out. And the federal government and its elected officials and employees are subject to the same rules, regulations as the rest of us. And that's a start.
And who in their right mind would vote for any of that crap?
Well, most of the Americans, I think, would vote for that crap.
You think so?
Yes, I do, because the money isn't what I donate to a it's all at K Street, and you got it ain't just the money; it's the revolving door between government agencies and the private sector.
There you go.
And that's killing us, literally killing us. So that's my short list of solutions.
All right. Rules.
And just so you know, the cabinet was inferred from the language of the opinion clause, Article 2, Section 2, Clause 1 of your Constitution. So it was authorized. They are authorized.
I love authorization.
There you go. Well, we have Lazinski's rules for radicals. We've got we've got Pete's rules for bureaucrats. All right.
Well, they're the problem, Tom.
They are the problem. I will agree with that.
Elected officials come and go, but them guys are there forever. And
actually, they don't come and go. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we hope they come and go.
Yeah.
But it's. I mean, I don't know. You've got agencies that write rules, regulations, and policy.
Yeah.
Did I just say law there? Because there's no law there. They're rules, regulations, and policy, but they're enforced as laws. And that's another problem.
Yeah.
Okay, either it's a law or it isn't a law. If we're gonna let bureaucracies mandate what we can and cannot do, years ago I called it fill in the blank legislation that they gave to these agencies.
Well, yeah. Well, look at I mean, we enforce laws. We only the laws we like. We don't enforce marijuana laws. We don't enforce immigration laws. There's all kinds of laws that we just we're sorry, those are wrong. We don't care.
Right, but I'll tell you what,
but a judge will tell you ignorance of the law is no excuse.
That's right. But a judge will still let you have a sanctuary city or a sanctuary state. So
maybe what we should do is take a picture of the law. Go into a law library and take a picture of the stack of books, which is the Federal Code of Regulations, and I'm telling you that ignorance of the law is a viable excuse.
I think it would be a viable excuse by now,
Absolutely.
Yeah. When you and I were kids, there was only one book.
Right. I got the Montana Code here from 1898, and it's 2 books.
I know. There you are. Now it's 18.
Well, I think that every courtroom in the U.S. should have IBM's Watson in the courtroom, because then anybody going in defending themselves could ask Watson what the
what's the ruling, Watson?
What's the ruling, Watson? What's the what's the past rulings on what we're talking about? That would not make a judge happy.
Yeah, there you go.
Keep in mind that the first Watson program was an IBM program.
That's what I just said.
Yeah.
And it decided who went to the gas chamber and who didn't.
Whoa.
So I don't like Watson much.
Yeah. I gotta go, Pete. I'm sorry.
Take care, guys.
All right, take it easy. We'll be right back. 11 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 64 degrees outside. We're looking for a high in the mid-70s. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. And I want to get a couple things in here real quick, Shane, before we go to the 5 things. We've got about 10 minutes to do. Trump reverses his decision to close the Anaconda Job Corps. Dane's staff said he spoke with the president on Saturday, touted the success of the center, and said it should remain open. It has 63 staffers and trains about 163 students in manufacturing, mechanics, carpentry, welding, and other disciplines. So that program is going to stay open, so that's a good thing. The other thing going on, several elite firefighting crews from Montana plan to leave for the Canadian province of Alberta on Wednesday to help battle more than 24 large wildfires that are going on there, and that's where all our smoke is coming from. Kathy Bushnell, the spokesman for the Helena, Lewis, and Clark National Forest, said hotshot teams from Helena, Lolo, Bitterroot, and Flathead National Forest will leave from Great Falls, and the hot stream teams meet high standards for physical fitness, training, experience, and leadership. The largest fire in Alberta has burned about 1,160 square miles of land, and smoke from the fires have drifted into Montana, of course, as we all know. So
right, and last week we talked about this, and it's gone from 5 fires in northern Alberta to what she said there, 24. So, You know, we had 658 fires in northern BC alone last year. I think it could be worse this year.
Yeah.
Not a good thing.
Yeah, me too. We'll be right back. 5 minutes for the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 65 degrees outside. From our text line, Shane, why is Trump painting the skies and changing the weather? Well, if you've lived in Montana 25 years or longer like I have, you could probably say, why is Clinton, Bush, Obama, and Trump painting the skies and changing the weather? Why don't all these callers who know everything about everything are smarter than the rest of us run for office and fix it rather than ranting on the radio? I won't name names, but you know who they are. Okay.
Well, that's the point of talk radio is that people.
Well, that's right. You got to have people
express themselves.
That's right. You got to have people calling in and saying, "Hey, whatever," and we're glad of them because otherwise. It'd be pretty boring just listening to Shane and I all morning long. So
I don't think so. I like listening to you.
Oh, do you? Oh, well. Okay. Well, if you say so, you would know.
You give good radio.
Oh, okay. Yeah, thanks. Well, let's see. The big news, I think, is that we need to start out with is that the GOP is not supporting the president on this Mexican deal, and it's amazing to me when a Republican's going to grow a spine.
Yeah.
I just don't understand that 100,000 people a month pouring in is okay. That's just fine. That's just great.
I appreciate you segueing to my epiphany because your president is great. He figures out these things and he creates a strategy. So here's my strategy. So he slams Mexico with this tariff. Number one, he gets them to pay for the wall. That's number one. That's great. And then number two, it forces Pelosi to fund the USMCA treaty because the Senate needs to approve it. But if it requires funding, the House has to grant the funding, and she's refusing to do that. So it's blocking that treaty. And the Republicans don't explain it that way, but the bottom line is the Democrats are holding up this treaty that he's made, and the Democrats have all said, "Oh, it's a great new treaty," but they're blocking it being implemented. So yeah, it's a two-prong effort. He's smart about it, and all the Democrats are coming out and saying, "No, you can't do this to Mexico." He's on the phone to Pelosi right now saying, "Then fund the USMCA treaty."
Right, and the wall.
And the wall.
There you go. Why not? Well, I don't know. Anyway, the House voted Tuesday 237 to 187 to pass the American Dream and Promise Act of 2019, which offers a path to citizenship for more than 2 million undocumented immigrants, including deferred action for childhood arrivals. That's the DACA folks. And under the measure, DACA recipients or dreamers meeting certain requirements would require 10 years of legal resident status. And after finishing 2 years of military service or higher education or working for 3 years, they would be granted permanent green cards. 7 Republicans joined all 230 Democrats present to vote for the bill, which was first introduced in March. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said there should be nothing partisan or political about the bill and urged Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell to allow a vote on it. And that sounds fair to me. Work or go to military service or any of the other things that are happening out there. So. From our text line, 478-8298, Republicans grew a spine and stood up to liberal taxes and tariffs. Trump needs to try diplomacy, not insults of Mexico. Honey versus vinegar. Well, honey hasn't worked very well. I think he's already tried that. Been to Mexico a number of times and talked to him and whatever. So,
and on the Dreamer issue, let's make this clear. January 24th, 2018, okay, just last year, Trump tried to come up with a deal for Dreamers, and he offered 1.8 million people citizenship.
Yeah.
And, and all of what the Democrats are, saying they put in this bill they passed. Well, at first they were listening to him, and then the Ninth Circuit judge, made a ruling on his saying that, that the Dreamers would end in March 5th, and they put it on hold. And the Democrats walked away because they figured, now we got him in a box.
Yeah.
So they're disingenuous when they talk about, trying to do something for the Dreamers now. I mean,
all right. Hey, Mike McCormick's in the house. We're going to be talking with him about money. And, of course, I will ask him about the 800-pound gorilla in the room when we come back. So stay tuned for that. And, it's Wednesday. It's Mike. It's hump day. Mike, what day is it? It's hump day. All right, we'll be right back with Mike McCormick right after this. It's 6 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock, Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 68 degrees outside. Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor. Shane Tobin on the line from Vancouver, British Columbia. And Tommy Goloff, your morning mayor in the house. And Mike McCormick is here. And thanks for coming in, Mike, on a Wednesday. And
no, my pleasure. Well, this is what I like to do on Wednesday.
Hump day, yeah.
Yeah, right. Appreciate that. I should disclaim that we do not endorse Geico, its stock, or its product.
There you go. Okay.
Wait, that's Berkshire Hathaway you're talking about.
Yeah, right.
I like to be literal in this regard. I don't want to get into the legalese. Just common speak is what I'm talking about.
That's right. Well, we had a listener email me a question last week, and I wanted you to take it on. So you have the question, obviously.
I do. And again, this is just what's great about this radio station. We appreciate all the listeners. We appreciate all the feedback. And there's so many different ways you can get it. So, Tom, I believe this was texted. He forwarded it to me. Question from the listeners. What's the downside if I, as a 60-year-old woman, and recognizing that I've got some end-of-life planning to go on, what if I sold my home and bought a modular on a piece of land and put it all in someone else's name at the point of purchase, so that it would save it from nursing home takeover in the future is the wording. So it's probably a text message, right?
Yeah.
And the gist is as we look towards the end of our life, and as we look to our bank account, as we look to what we want it to do, sometimes we have some challenging questions that we need to answer. And in some ways, people regard the possibility of running out of money and using the Social Security net of Medicaid at that point, right? Or some form of it.
Right.
So to help you get through your last days is a strategic move for their finances. So they might defraud the government is what this is, where they would make themselves poor, give their money away to someone else, and say, we're broke. We need to go on social services through the end of our life. So I understand the sentiment. I'm not casting down on that, but that is fraud of the government. We don't endorse that. We don't suggest that you do that. What you should know is that when you're evaluated for these programs, there's a due diligence that our government does just to address these sorts of concerns. And there's a 60-month, big difference, 60-month look back in your finances. So they will go through all of your past tax records, your checking account, and if they smell something, they're going to go really deep and probably find something. If it's outside of that, then you're in the clear. So if you have a large estate and you have the ability to do some planning, that can make a lot of sense. You want to get this done while you're loose and young. In regard to, going on social services and doing a deal with a family, sometimes I've read about some of these schemes where they might, this child is still supporting the elder,
right,
but without a contractual agreement. You gave them the property, and so therefore they're supposed to give you $2,000 a month, but there's no written agreement about that. It's just not a good thing to do. Yeah. You've made it this far without entering into contracts with your kids and losing. Why tempt it at the end? That's the bottom line right there. So, my suggestion is stay in your home until you can't, and then there's a reverse mortgage option out there that helps people stay in their home a bit longer, and then it might make sense to sell it and move on, also downsize or whatnot. Good grief, the real estate in this valley is your retirement. I hope that you're in on it. Right?
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks for the question, though.
Yeah. Let's see. From our texts, let's bury the Texas for a minute because they're not concerned with the money situation. So we'll maybe do them before the break or whatever, just to get them on the.
Sure, and I got to get out of here today too.
Okay, do you leave it at 8:30 then?
I am.
Okay. All right. So
but I did want to talk.
We'll leave the text till after you go then.
Right, and I came in with some. There's some current events going on. Is there something else you want to visit on, Tom?
There is something else I want to visit on, and Shane and I both want to know your prediction of Fed rate cuts.
Oh, my gosh.
The market went up 500 points yesterday thinking that the feds are going to cut rates. So what's the deal?
Well, and it's still going up today, too. It's up another 121.
Yeah.
Which, you should know, when I pointed this out, this means the Dow over the last 12 months is up 1.2%.
Yeah, not good. But
so if you pay a fee, you're flat for the year after taking quite a ride. This is what they said was going to happen. They said, they being the economic gurus of the world, they say when we're at getting to higher valuations, the volatility increases, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing big swings because there's a lot of uncertainty about is this too much? We're insecure about finding where that might be. So we have these big swings, and we have these big swings on news, and we have these big swings on news that's highly unpredictable.
Yeah,
highly unpredictable.
Now, wait a second. I predicted this last Wednesday that the Fed would drop at 2.25. And the reason I did was because of the power of the U.S. dollar. But the interesting thing about this that I find fascinating is the jump in the value of the market from it. That they talk about what Trump does with his tweets. This guy talked for 3 minutes yesterday, and kabam!
There you go. 500 points up and at him. So
talking about making money.
There you go. Let's take a phone call. 522-TALK is the number. Caller, you are on the air with Mike McCormick, Shane, and I. What's up?
Mike, I got a quick question for you. Do you think that during the Obama administration, that free and really dirt cheap money that was available has conditioned the market to demand dirt cheap money, and anything less than that, it's going to tank?
Yeah, I think that what you're saying is absolutely true. Is we're used to this environment where it's easy money, and what happened was
particularly home interest rates kept that way down
for sure.
Credit
card debt, car debt, home debt, any kind of debt. We're used to it, and so any incremental change to that is really painful, and so we're gun shy of that for sure. Getting used to it now, the challenge is getting unused to it. And now we're at a new rate, right? We're now at basically almost 3, and we're getting used to that. 2.5. And so, but my point to Shane about him predicting what was going to happen is the Fed themselves said last December that we were going to have our interest rate hike. And then they came out at the beginning of the year and they said, no, we're going to have it flat. And then yesterday they said we might lower it.
Yeah.
So they're the worst predictors of their own actions.
I know. Well, of course, the Fed is looking ahead 18 months, 2 years, when they make these decisions.
They are, but gosh, what that comes out of their mouth seems like they're looking ahead 12 hours.
Yeah, they're looking about 10 minutes from now. But the other thing, too, we've looked at, Shane and I, bond prices have really gone down. And what that says to me is that this is the best place to invest, because when your interest rates go up, or when the bonds are high, is to attract dollars. And when they go down, it's to, hey, we're getting too many dollars. So
right, and they get expensive.
Yeah, they get expensive to.
And that's just all assets that are on sale are rarely on sale for long in this environment. I mean, if we had a real estate pause, even we'd have another boom in the valley of real estate. Oh, good, I can get one for $500,000 now. Ooh.
Yeah.
Price cut $495.
Life is good.
Right. What a bargain.
From our text line, there's a lawyer locally who is promoting a revocable trust, to put your house out of the reach of nursing homes. Can you comment on that? I'm not sure what out of the reach of nursing homes means.
Well, it's right at the first question that we had that we started off with, which is strategically making yourself poor, so that you would qualify for social services in later years. And the reason why this happens is that people go in a nursing home, they stay there longer than they think. It gets more expensive than they thought. They sell all their assets, and they literally have nothing to pass on to their heirs.
Right.
And they're regulated to living on what the government dole is at that point. And that's a horrible, horrible thing for us to think about.
Yeah.
So how do you protect around that? There's times where I'm sure that it makes sense, and that's what this attorney's defense would be in promoting it. So he's looking for the right people, I'm sure.
I would think so. One of the things that I bought are the house I grew up in from my mother. Back in the day.
Yeah.
And what she did, there was three of us. There's my older brother, my older sister, and what she did is the house, the value of the house or the loan for the house was $25,000. So she gave me my third of the property then.
Yeah.
So I paid her 16, 15, and used the rest to spruce up the house, or bring the house up, because it was a house in the 30s, 20s.
There is a lot you can do.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to cast this in that,
and I don't mean that's the way
anything.
to do it either. I'm not suggesting that to people to do that.
There are legal, ethical ways to have what you want to have happen.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where you would consult an attorney, and they may use a tool like an irrevocable trust to do things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
But I always caution people, just don't lose control of your assets until, I suppose, you don't have the capacity to manage them anymore.
What do you think about reverse mortgage?
Hold
that thought, because I got to take a break.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Tom.
Let's talk about those when we come back. So hang on. 20 minutes after the hour of 8 a.m. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 69 degrees outside. Shane Montalban, half man, half amazing, in Vancouver, British Columbia, on the line with me. And in studio, Mike McCormick is in the house. We're talking money and mortgages and all kinds of stuff. So thanks for being here, Mike. Appreciate it. And we were talking about interest rates with the Fed, obviously. Are they? Well, they're not going to do anything until, July? I think that's when they meet again, I believe. Yeah. Oops, I'm sorry. I got to put you up. Sorry.
Woo. It's hard holding my breath for that long. They meet coming up. I should know this, July. There's a few more times.
Yeah.
But again, my point was that how much their expectations of their leading indicator of what we're going to do is completely playing into the hands of what the stock market is telling it to do. And this, I think, is pretty concerning.
Yeah.
Is that if we want a rate cut, all we have to do is have 2 weeks of losses. And then it'll come. And so it sounds a bit like an addict, that's addicted to low interest rates, to earlier caller's point. Yeah. And we're willing to throw a big hissy fit if we don't get, what we need. And it gives us reassurance when we hear that, oh no, the Fed's still there for you.
Yeah.
Liquidity's still there for you. And so we keep putting money in the stock market, and it continues to do okay. Now by okay, now I'm looking at different strategies right now, because of the height of our value, because of the volatility that we're having, because just like I led off with, 1.2% return for 12 months in the Dow, it's not really a fair return for the risk that you've went through. There's a lot of other better options than that. If you could say to present the deal, you would have a hard time finding people to take that deal. So we're looking at different ideas. Generally, people are looking towards just really expanding the diversification, because it's so unpredictable what's going to happen in not just emerging markets, but which emerging market now. We're having differentiation with the China play, India. Brazil is actually the only emerging market that's anticipated to make significant growth in their economy in the next 12 months. All the others are looking at floundering a bit.
Yeah. Well, we've seen that. Brexit still,
oh gosh, right?
Making a mess over there, and that's not going to happen until October now, it looks like.
It seems to be on British time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a cricket game over there.
Yeah, it's on metric time with Shane.
That's because they drive on the wrong side of the road.
That alone kind of screws them up, doesn't it?
Right. Tom, you did lead off before that break with a good question about reverse mortgages.
Right. I did mention that. Yeah.
And I'm not an expert in it. I would refer that out to an expert. The last I looked is that it was you're asking for a lot of guarantees. Mm-hmm. You're asking you want liquidity in your house, but you want a guarantee that you can stay there as long as you might live, which is where a life insurance company comes into play. And they do excellent work at valuing that. But just know that, because of those guarantees, you're going to be paying a cost, and you might not get the most bang for your buck. But if your main objective is to stay in that house and you need to find liquidity, it's a great option to look at.
I think it's a little pricey to get into, if I remember correctly. It's been a few years since we've talked about it on the air with somebody who does that.
Right.
But
they're happening. I'll bone up on it a bit, and we can talk about it more intelligently next week.
Okay.
And if any of the listeners have experience, we'd love to hear from you too.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So, the other thing that's going on are these tariffs. Are you? We just had a thing the other day. Westpaw Design, for example, getting some of their textiles from because they're not made here anymore. The kind they need, I guess, for their dog toys and stuff like that. Westpaw Design makes. For the people who don't know, they're out on Frontage Road, and they make
great success story for this valley.
Both brothers have different businesses, but both are successful. And so, in fact, I was trying to get them on the air at one time, and they could argue back and forth about who Mom likes best.
Oh, good.
Anyway,
those are fun.
Yeah, but have your clients voiced anything about the tariffs have injured them, or are they
infrequent and to the point where it's still unexpected? I'm not expecting to hear it. I still expect to hear the problems about hiring skilled labor.
Yeah.
They're scrambling to provide benefits. There's a lot of them bucking up and paying for the health benefits, which is great, but it is a significant expense.
Well, we've only got a couple sources, I think, in Montana that even provide insurance for employers.
Yeah, it's complicated.
It gets really to a mess. Now, Shane has always pointed out that steel and aluminum are down in price. Right, Shane, from the tariff?
Yeah, it's incredible. Everybody made such a hammer about steel and aluminum, and as we talked about, aluminum's down 28.4% for the year. And steel is down 11% for the year. So, this threat of the increase of the price of steel and aluminum because of tariffs, wrong. But they're gone. No, those tariffs against Mexico, Canada are gone now. But didn't affect. The price went down.
Yeah. So even before they took the tariffs off of them. So.
And I have to give kudos, to Shane and his predictions about the Fed cutting, and also about the volatility in the market driving people to the dollar, and that's exactly what we're seeing. And you were mentioning about the bond rates. It seems that money is chicken, and it seems like then when times get tough, they go to the dollar. And I read an article that said, remember when the U.S. currency got devalued downgraded, not devalued, downgraded by the ratings agencies? We actually had an uptick in demand for treasuries right after that.
Yeah,
because there's nowhere else to go.
Oh yeah,
gold is making a slam. It's 1330. It's up 837 today alone, and silver's at 1490. So
they're having their day now, aren't they?
I don't remember the last time that it hasn't been recently that gold's been above 12.
Well, we don't have much time, but oil might be a place to look to for another store of wealth. As we talk about on the show, it's still our main fuel supply out there.
Oh, yeah.
And natural gas is affiliated with it as well.
Yeah.
Good call, because crude oil's at $52.50, down 97 cents today. Brent in Europe is 61, and natural gas is $2.39. So crude oil in the U.S. is down 18% in Europe, and natural gas is down 17%. Good call on your part. No question.
Well, thanks. We'll see. I mean, the global GDP is slowing down, so the furnaces are cooling off a bit. But, there's plenty of growth somewhere.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're wondering as we go through the summer with interest rates, where this Mexico thing is going to go, where Canada's going to go.
I love 2% money market accounts. Yeah. Right now is a great time to make sure that, that you're covered there, that you have. And I always like people to have opportunistic money in there too. If there's a good deal that happens, it's not just about an emergency. You're sitting on it. And then in your retirement accounts, you got to keep buying in regularly. I wouldn't advise any significant changes so long as you have a broad allocation out there. There's no way to predict which way these things are going right now.
Mike, I have a big question for you. With these talks now coming out of Congress about looking at the tech companies, Facebook, Twitter, Google, and looking at antitrust concerns that the government may now have about him. What do you think what do you think that'll do to affect those stocks?
Gosh, that's a great question, Shane, and I've been scratching my head on that one too.
Yeah,
of course,
Amazon especially.
Well, right. I mean, it's the tech allocation of everybody's portfolio. It's the main driver of the gains for the past decade.
Right.
That family of companies. And what I look at is, there's some concerns and there's some things to be worked out, but they have an archive that, to date, is maybe the most valuable resource that's ever been created. All of our behavior, all of our likes, all of our preferences, all of our stuff in one consolidated database that they can mine.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value still there. That's my point.
Yeah. Real quick question for you, Mike. Does Mike think tariffs will hurt Americans and businesses? How will companies absorb those taxes?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to be the generic economic person that says in a tariff, it's a tax that everybody bears some part of. I mean, there's going to be people that bear less, but there's not somebody that necessarily wins on it, I don't think.
Well, you only pay the tariff if you buy the product that's tariffed.
True. But it has a way of circulating through the economy, right?
It will, no question.
Yeah.
All right. That wraps it up. Thanks, Mike, for coming in.
Thanks, Mike.
We appreciate it. And Shane and I will continue after the break at the bottom of the hour, so stay tuned. A lot more to do as we'll continue on with the 5 things you need to know. So there you go. We'll be right back. 23 minutes before the top of the hour. It's Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 69 degrees outside. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the KMMS Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. Shane Matobin on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia. Tom Eaglehoff, your morning mayor, in the house. And let's see. From our text line, 478-8298, Tom, has Berkshire Hathaway taken over the real estate market in Bozeman? Well, I don't know if they have or not. I guess you have to look at the yard signs out there for the for sale signs. I don't know. I voted for Berkshire Hathaway in the last election because they had the most yard signs. So
yeah, there you go.
That was it. So. Let's see, from our text line, 478-8298, Republicans love illegal slave labor. Well, hire American then if you're unhappy with that. So Bitcoin is at 7777, up from 3560 in January and down from 8,000 last week.
Well, there you go. Flood to where money's safe. It's like we were saying, gold, like what a jump, and silver too. I mean, commodity market may be back, Tom.
That may be, yeah. Just tuned in. What happened with AM stations yesterday? All I heard was a government message being repeated over and over. Well, I don't have any idea what happened yesterday as to why we weren't on the air, but. It may be the feed got jumbled or something, or who knows? The whole thing is a computer, and they're not perfect. So we apologize that for any interruption in our signal, but it does happen from time to time.
Well, this is the danger of AI, right?
That's right. From our text line, 478-8298, Trump has done nothing but insult Mexico and threaten them. He's never tried diplomacy. Mexico is sending murderers. We'll pay for the wall. So, well, that may be true. But Trump, during his first year, had how many meetings with Mexico, in Mexico and here? How much diplomacy did we try? We knocked out the with the AMAC, Make America Great, Canada Great, Mexico Great deal, and got that thing signed. So I think diplomacy certainly worked there. But where everything went south was when 100,000 people a month started flowing across the border. That's when things got a little testy. Up till then, diplomacy was perfectly fine. But now Trump has said, hey, you guys got to do something about this. You can't just let people walk through your country and, go to ours. I mean, come on.
Like the caller in the fourth block said, and hand out pamphlets how to get in.
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, come on. All kinds of things like that. So, let's see what happened to John Arneson on Voices. Well, John and a couple other people over there bit the dust. They were shown the door, and they did a little house cleaning over there Rocky Erickson left as well. I was talking to Aaron Flint the other day, and he was kind of briefing me on the Northern Broadcasting cleaned house over there, I think so. All right, so hopefully that answers that question. So where John is now, I have no idea. Maybe he's putting in for this job. Who knows?
Podcast.
Yeah. We'll be right back. We got to take a quick break and hear some words from our lovely sponsors that keep us on the air. So pay attention. We'll be right back. 15 minutes for the top of the hour. It is Wednesday, June 5th, 2019, 68 degrees outside, and Shaman Taubin, half man, half amazing, on the line with me from Vancouver, British Columbia, and, of course, Tom Eagleoff, your morning mayor in the house. And, the Republicans threatened to block Trump's Mexico tariffs, and he's just going to veto that, and they're not going to have the votes to override it. I don't know why they even bother talking about it. It's so stupid that, and I as I said earlier, I don't know when when they're going to grow a pear or a spine or something. And what's wrong with the Republican Party? I mean, holy smokes! You got a president that's finally doing something for the country, and man. You won't back him?
And and the numbers are all there. I mean, that's what's remarkable about this. And, with the monkey on his back, that's now proven to be just a false issue. And what's going on further with that, it's incredible what he's accomplished. When Obama made that comment as president and held a phone up and a pen and said, I don't need the Republican House or Senate. I could do something with my phone and my pen. And he didn't do anything. Now you look at Trump with a phone and a pen, and my God, he's turned your economy around. And that's like turning around an oil tanker in a harbor.
Yeah, I know. He's kept more campaign promises than any president I can remember in recent history.
That's correct.
Particularly in the first 2 years. He did pretty much everything he said he was going to do, except for health care. That's the only thing that's of still still there, but I don't know.
Some people call it a list of promises. I call it a list of problems that he solved.
Well, that's true, yeah. In other news, the White House has instructed Hope Hicks and Annie Donaldson not to turn over documents to Congress in response to a subpoena. Hicks, former White House Director of Communication, and Donaldson, former Chief of Staff to former White House counsel Don McGahn, received subpoenas in May from the House Judiciary Committee for testimony and documents as part of an ongoing investigation into President Trump, with the committee setting a June 4th deadline for the documents. Hicks and Donaldson have now been instructed not to turn over documents related to their time in the administration, and Judiciary Committee Chair Gerald Nadler blasted Trump, saying that the president has no lawful basis for preventing these witnesses, which of course he does, from complying with our request. McGahn has previously instructed not to turn over documents or testify either.
And let's make this clear to our listeners. Now, this is a personal privilege they're making because they work for the president, and their discussions with him are privileged. But he is not cited executive privilege.
Yeah.
So their lawyers are going on personal privilege. So we'll see where this goes. But you can't have people advising the president having to release information unless he tells them to.
Well, that's the whole point, that, there's got to be, we're all for transparency, but, some things aren't,
That's right. Exactly. Some things aren't. And, the president has to have confidence in the people that advise him, and the people that advise him have to have confidence they're not going to be exposed or they won't go work there.
Yeah. Well, I would like to see Hope Hicks testify, just because she's so easy on the eyes. Man, she is a very attractive person, I'll tell you, man. Well, holy smokes.
I have to tell you, you were reading my mind, baby.
I tell you, man, I was sorry to see her leave.
Exactly.
Yeah, just do a Hope Hicks search, and you'll see, man. She could be a world-class model. No problem. She is something. So
and I just
smart too, apparently, since she's working in the White House. So go for it.
I just want to make a comment about misogynism.
Yeah.
Because in the third block, the woman that called and talked about getting rid of coal and oil and everything.
Right. Yeah.
Now just remember that's going to put women back because they're going to have to get out that ironing board and that old iron because without petrochemicals and clothing, they'll wrinkle. So
I was going to say you're going to be ironing again, and I don't know. So, all right, we got to take another quick break. A Rush update is on the horizon here. So, Town Pump's in there. Boy, we got a lot of local folks. So let's support those local folks. We even got Babel in there, but you don't have to buy Babel, I guess, if you don't want to. But anyway, we'll be right back. Here's Rush. All right, 5 minutes for the top of the hour, winding down the Morning Soapbox with Tom and Shane. And, been a pretty interesting 3 days, Shane.
Terrific. All the callers, all the information. I mean, it's just a wild show, and everyone is enjoying it, including us.
I know. Pretty interesting. Well, the Department of Justice said Tuesday it's willing to recommence negotiations on releasing the full Mueller report if the House drops its vote to hold Attorney General William Barr in contempt. In a letter, the DOJ said the House Judiciary Committee's vote in favor of holding Barr in contempt was premature and unnecessary, and then said it's disappointed the full House of Representatives is set to vote on holding Barr in contempt next week. But if the committee drops its May 8th vote, May 8th? I mean June 8th, I think.
Yeah.
The DOJ says it is prepared to resume negotiations after releasing the whole report. So Barr skipped a committee hearing on the Mueller report and refused to comply with the subpoena for the full report. And I don't see any way that they can allow the jury, the secret grand jury.
Yeah.
I don't know why I have a problem with that.
I think of grand piano. That's how it's
called. Oh, okay. The grand piano jury. So I don't know about that, but anyway.
I used to have the same problem. Anyway, the importance of this is a strategy.
Yeah.
The strategy of Barr is very simple, twofold. Mueller's news conference he lied at, and then he had to back up that day and express his having made a wrong statement. So now the problem is that even his report has got concerns as to being credible. Second of all, the IG report's very close, although whether Steele shows up and they interview him for that, we don't know. But all this stuff is coming to fold, and remember, Attorney General Barr, he's investigating all this, so he's got stuff to talk. I think he's going to use the cover of, well, I'm going to release the Mueller report with additional information I've discovered.
Yeah, there you go. All right, from our text line, it's funny how we didn't have hundreds of thousands of illegals coming here until Trump. Crossings were down. Maybe Trump is the problem. Well, if Trump is, with all his insults and everything else, is attracting these people here to a place where he obviously doesn't want them, they must be dumber than I thought.
Exactly. The 26 million that were here before Trump did not come here because of Trump.
That's true. And if you want to go back to the actual reason for this, you have to go back to the sequester.
That's correct.
All the way back to Obama when the government couldn't decide. Sequester kicked in, defense spending was reduced. We had to pull people out of Honduras, out of Guatemala, out of El Salvador, and the gangs took over, and kaboom. Now, thanks to Obama and the sequester, you've now got hundreds of thousands of people fleeing their country because of gang violence and whatever.
The righteous eagle man nails it, and again, nothing that's talked about on anybody else's show. You got it 100%, Mayor.
Well, there you are. So that's the reason. If you want to go look at it, that's the problem. Before the sequester, we had people down there that were controlling the gangs, keeping people semi-safe. Still wasn't a very safe country, but. But once the military presence bailed out of there, man, that was it. So, All right, we got to leave it at that. So say goodbye, Shane.
Bye, Mayor. Talk to you tomorrow. Everyone be happy, be safe.
All right. Hey, we appreciate everybody listening to us. Thanks a lot. And hey, don't forget our app, our AM 1450 KMMS app. Make sure you get that. Go to our website, kmmsam.com. You'll find all kinds of stories, not just about Bozeman, but around the area. And a lot of contributors blog there, so check that out. And our poll question of the day, go over to kmmsam.com or AM 1450 KMMS and answer the poll question. And we'll see everybody tomorrow morning bright and early. Hey, it's almost Thursday. It's almost Friday. We'll see you tomorrow morning, 6 a.m.